It's been 22 years in the making. San Diego 1995 and now Bermuda 2017. Once again, the America's Cup is New Zealand's Cup.
Kia ora, good evening. That was how Peter Montgomery called it as Team New Zealand won back the America's Cup. And we now know that Peter Burling and his men beat Oracle with damaged foils on the boat, a problem they've been managing since day one of the Challenger finals against Artemis. Here's Melissa Davies from Bermuda. Take it away, Peter.
Once again, the America's Cup is New Zealand's Cup.
In a campaign that so often has left Team New Zealand on the outer circle, it was fitting that the Kiwis would cruise alone down the final leg to cross a line in sailing history.
There will be no fairy tale comeback this time around. Jimmy Spittle has lost his magic wand.
The Ghosts of San Francisco no match for Kiwi spirit.
Very well beaten.
For a moment, every Kiwi felt the elation of being in Peter Burling's shoes. As champagne was sprayed in Bermuda, the two men so instrumental in this campaign soaked it all in.
It's absolutely incredible feeling to, know that America's Cup's now going to go home to New Zealand, and it's something, we're just blown away by, the way we could go out in style today.
Burling's parents have lived every minute of this dream with their son, watching from the shore.
This is Grant Dalton. He's been the bedrock of this team really since.
He's achieved what he came here to achieve. I think he'll feel really good about that, but he knows all too well the whole strength of the team behind him as well.
Crucially, his Olympic teammate Blair Tuke. A formidable pairing, two boys from humble backgrounds, now with the most lucrative prize in world sailing.
Yeah, pretty bloody good. That's amazing feeling. Very proud of everyone.
It's a feeling money couldn't buy, not even the money of Oracle's billionaire owner Larry Ellison, who consoled a deflated Jimmy Spittle.
No, just saying, you compete at the very, very highest level, you're not going to win every time. You won 2 of the last 3. That's not bad, mate.
But this cup was to go to the youngest ever helmsman to win it, Peter Burling, and with him the skipper who fought back from the pain of 2013. Oracle may have come back then, but Glenn Ashby knows the true meaning of never give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present the America's Cup to Emirates Team New Zealand!
The cup is what this team came for. The accolades and even the Louis Vuitton bags thrown out to the crowd, just extras. The adversity they've faced along the way has been no secret, from backlash around Dean Barker's exit to funding cuts, financial alliances against them, and more recently serious damage to their dagger boards, which they had to cautiously nurse since the semi-finals.
We've lived with this now since that day, or since we found it, and they've been tested every night with ultrasound. The guy's been basically living here doing it every night, and it has been growing. So, every time we do a tack or a jibe or whatever, I've just gone, oh, hold on, please hold on, and they have.
Glenn Ashby referenced their ongoing struggles on stage.
The guys standing here behind me and also our group in front have absolutely fought tooth and nail right the way through this campaign, and we were very much a small group for a long time, and to come through and win this bloody trophy after 4 years of hard work is a big credit to the team.
Team New Zealand CEO Grant Dalton has made no secret of the fact that his old rival Sir Russell Coutts has been one he counts as making the Kiwis' life harder, and he couldn't resist a cheeky dig when his phone went off in the press conference.
We were looking at peddling at that stage. He said, "That'll be Russell."
In an interview with Newshub, Coutts admitted there was no sugarcoating Oracle's loss, saying Team New Zealand's campaign was one of the most impressive ever. A campaign that ends his winning streak in 5 America's Cups.
All good things come to an end sooner or later, and that's sports, I've had a great time in America's Cup, and certainly no complaints, It's been great.
And while Coutts has previously said a one-off Cup event in Auckland wouldn't work, now he seems to have changed his tune.
It'll be, a spectacular event down in New Zealand, and hopefully, it's going to keep growing and get better and better. I'm sure it will, So, future's bright.
There's no backtracking from Dalton, who has stuck to his guns throughout this campaign. Victory feels sweet.
I think what makes it sweeter is the way we went about it, and we were clinical, we thought outside the square, we did it differently. We didn't sign the framework agreement because we didn't believe in it. You know, we really were the lone wolf, and today that feels like it was the right move.
Even Jimmy Spittle had to agree.
It's no secret, Grant Dalton and I don't usually see eye to eye, but man, I mean, what an incredible effort to come back and from something like that and get it done.
And while gracious in defeat, he couldn't resist just a little final jab.
Clearly, I see some real upside in somewhat of a nationality rule. And let's look at Emirates Team New Zealand. Another Aussie skipper just won the America's Cup.
Comments like that were water off the Kiwis' backs today. The shore crew took a dunk, whether they liked it or not. And the boss walked back to the party with a tight grip on the star attraction.
Is this that moment you've been dreaming of? Carrying around?
I feel like we're stealing it at the moment, frankly.
It's definitely yours, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, isn't it great? That's the way we do it. That's the way we roll.
And roll into the party it did, pass through the hands of the crew, who are now its Kiwi caretakers. Tonight, for one night, it's not about the politics, but the party. And even Oracle wanted in on the fun. The crew turned up to the party at the Team New Zealand base, including skipper Jimmy Spittle. When Grant Dalton was asked how he thought Spittle might be feeling, he said he couldn't care less. He said Oracle, the biggest software company in the world, had just been beaten by little old New Zealand software. And now they have the hardware to prove it. For the next 5 days, they'll pack and soak up the atmosphere here in Bermuda before their expected return home on Wednesday next week. In Bermuda, Melissa Davies, Newshub.
So what happens now? Well, first of all, there will be a parade in Auckland, but it won't go up Queen Street because of construction. We don't know what day yet, and we don't know yet if there will be parades in other centres. That's yet to be announced. But the next America's Cup will be in New Zealand, probably in Auckland, and probably in 4 years' time. A challenger of record has... Here's Simon. It's Luna Rossa from Italy. Here's Simon Shepherd with more.
The party of 2000, the Auckland waterfront buzzing, host to a successful cup defence. It's now been built out, so where would the bases be this time? One option is Halsey Wharf behind the Viaduct Event Centre, currently hosting fishing trawlers.
We do have a plan, and it will play out in the next couple of weeks.
It's already playing out.
We have received a challenge from the CVS Yacht Club in Italy.
Team Luna Rossa ready to come back to New Zealand. So too Alingi, on one condition.
For me to get back into the Cup, I will definitely want to keep these boats. I mean, I'm a multi-hull fan, and now with the speed at which they're going, I think it's great.
But that's where the details stop and the speculation begins. Will the government throw some money in?
The value to New Zealand of being able to run it here could be very positive. They'll have their own commercial arrangements, and so when they're ready, the government will be ready for a discussion.
Auckland wants to host the Cup, but can't afford it.
We don't have buckets of money to throw at it. We've got to worry about our transport network. We've got to worry about our housing infrastructure. But we'll assist in any other way that we're able to.
It is worth hosting. The defences of 2000 and 2003 generated more than $1 billion and more than 9,000 jobs and started the rejuvenation of Auckland's waterfront. The Auckland Development Company responsible says it can't reveal any early discussions. Wherever it's held, another company celebrating today is looking forward to the next round. Southern Spars built the Kiwi boat.
I think it's a big thing, not just for us, but for the New Zealand marine industry. We're almost 100% an exporting company, and now the eyes of the world are back firmly on New Zealand.
Future contracts and everything else now waits on the Kiwi team. For the moment, it's time to make the Cup feel welcome when it comes home next week. Simon Shepherd, Newshub.
And the celebrations have already started on Auckland's waterfront. Lucy Warhurst is at the Viaduct, and Lucy, they're kicking them off with a special light show.
Absolutely. This is America's Cup Central, so it's quite fitting that they are putting on a very special red, white and blue display tonight to mark the win. Now, you'll see behind me, this is a $500,000 lighting rig. The lights are designed by Angus Muir. Now, there are already hundreds of people piling down to the viaduct, celebrating with dinner, bubbles and a beer, but we're also turning our attention to next week's parade. Now, that is yet to be finalised, but it's likely to be next Thursday at midday. It's also expected to be a waterfront parade, so it's likely to come down Queen Street, culminating here at the viaduct. And rumour has it the team could also head out onto the water. One thing we do know is there will be a rapturous welcome home.
Lucy, thank you.
There's no denying Team New Zealand fans have been through a lot over the past few campaigns. Today, they finally got the result they wanted. Tom McRae joins us now live from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron at Westhaven Marina. And Tom, they're still celebrating.
Yes, Sam, in a word, they certainly are. And they're doing a pretty good job of it as well, because I just spoke to the bartender and she said that they got through more than 300 bottles of champagne, and that was only this morning. They had to go and restock so they could supply everyone for what's looking like it's going to be quite a long night ahead. Now, they're not only toasting Team New Zealand's success, but they're also looking back over some of the highs and lows over the last 17 years since we last won the America's Cup. And that's 17 years of bottled up emotion that all came spilling out this morning. As Kiwis, we're not known for being overly emotional, but the America's Cup clearly has a hold over us.
Today was so important because I feel like I've gone through some highs and lows with the team.
We've been waiting a long time.
Why do you think it is so emotional?
I don't know, just pain of last time.
Every gain, every tack and jibe, every mark was cheered on. Everyone wanted to believe, but the nagging feeling of 2013 was never too far away. How are you feeling now?
A bit emotional, actually. Yeah, it's amazing. Such an incredible achievement for such a small country.
This was not an easy watch, despite being so dominant. New Zealand's collective nervous energy could have at least added a few knots of boat speed, but finally the win came.
We've been working for this. This is fantastic.
Does it make up for 2013?
Absolutely. Mind-boggling. Fabulous.
1,000 people packed out the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, now the home of the America's Cup.
I can't believe we've finally done it, and not just won, but beat Oracle, who sued their way in and held it, but we've taken it back.
Caroline Angus Baker and her 4 sons had front row seats, hoping for history to repeat.
I did this with my father when we won back in '95, and it's beautiful to share it with my own kids now.
And they certainly did.
Nothing but happiness, just pure, unadulterated happiness.
It all unfolded before dawn even broke over the harbour, confirming what we'd dreamed. The Cup really is coming home. Tom McRae, Newshub.
While we all want to claim Peter Burling as our own tonight, Tauranga does have the edge on the rest of us. His hometown yacht club was packed to the gunnels this morning, with 300 friends and fans cheering his every move.
And as Adam Hollingworth reports, one of Burling's mentors also revealed the outcome could have been so different if Pistol Pete had taken up an offer from Oracle 2 years ago.
Some taught him, some grew up with him, some just share his relaxed attitude, but they all wanted their boy to bring it home. This America's Cup success owes much to what happened here 20 years ago, when a 6-year-old helmsman, Peter Burling, started sailing Optimists in Welcome Bay.
We bought a boat so the kids could enjoy sailing, and then the guy who sold us that particular boat sent us along to the yacht club, and Peter just got ridiculously good ridiculously quickly. So yeah, life changed at that point.
And this was his P-class boat, Sunseeker.
Probably around about that $1,500 at the time, yeah.
Even as a kid, everyone here knew Burling was special.
Look, he's always had a little bit of X factor. He could always put two boats in the same patch of water, and he'd see something different on the water and get there.
Sure enough, aged just 15, Burling became a world champion sailor, and one of his mentors, Jim Gilpin, controversially moved to tie him to Tauranga forever.
I'd put a division right through the club by making a 15-year-old or moving that a 15-year-old become a life member. But it's worked, and we've got Peter Burling, and no matter what he does, and the Lord knows what he's going to do in the future, but he's still going to be Tauranga's Peter Burling.
Gilpin, a champion sailor in his own right, was hosting his own party at a retirement village down the road. He always knew Burling could win an America's Cup.
I do know for a fact that Oracle and those guys were looking at him, and he didn't take their offers because he wanted to get an Olympic gold, and it was to his advantage to stay with Team New Zealand so he could use their facilities and that.
All around Tauranga, the champagne's been flowing in parties like this. And if Peter Burling wasn't their favourite son before, he certainly is now.
He's a good kid.
There's a saying here in Tauranga about the astonishing prowess of their boaties. There must be something in the water. Now Peter Burling has turned it into liquid gold. Adam Hollingworth, Newshub.
Team New Zealand's innovative design and out-of-the-box thinking is being credited for their epic win. And as Wilhelmina Shrimpton reports, it comes from a long Kiwi tradition.
As Kiwis, we're no strangers to innovation, especially around speed. Bruce McLaren broke barriers and records in Formula One, as did John Britton with his famous motorcycle. And Team New Zealand is no exception.
Absolutely magic. What this team has done. They have broken so many trends.
It was a game of billionaire versus idea. And luckily for us, this David and Goliath battle ended just how we wanted.
After San Fran, we knew we couldn't outspend them. If they outspent us 5-1, if they needed to go to 7-1, they would. So we had to outthink them, really.
And we did. While Oracle worked with old-fashioned rope, Team New Zealand's Glenn Ashby was more gamer than wing trimmer.
Glenn Ashby twiddling his knobs there down in the bottom right-hand side of the corner, just kind of trying to do his thing with his box, with the X-box.
I haven't done any sailing previously in my career without hanging on to some sort of a rope or tiller.
And then there was the cyclaws. While Oracle relied on arms, Team New Zealand realised legs are stronger. Mark Orams was part of New Zealand's America's Cup campaigns in 2000 and 2003 and believes the team's eureka moment was born from failure.
They've developed an understanding of how to win this thing because they learned from San Francisco. So the success we're enjoying right now really came out of that defeat.
And what's good for the team is also good for New Zealand.
It'll stimulate, it'll create jobs, it'll allow companies to grow and innovate more. It just puts us on the world stage again.
And just like those speedy Kiwi innovators that have gone down in history.
This is on par with Bruce McLaren and the fastest Indian, some of the success stories that we've heard and had movies made of. I think there's definitely a movie in this somewhere down the future.
Maybe one day coming to a cinema near you. Wilhelmina Shrimpton, Newshub.
It's taken 14 years to win back the America's Cup, but New Zealand's obsession with the old mug began 3 decades ago. Over that time, it's provided our sporting nation with the kind of roller coaster ride matched only in intensity by the All Blacks. And much like the Rugby World Cup, after failure came redemption.
All that heartache and pain of San Francisco replaced by jubilation here in Bermuda. And 4.5 million people on the other side of the planet let out an almighty roar.
If not a roar, then certainly a loud sigh of relief. We did it! Well, they did it. And finally, the pain of 4 years ago, when we came so close, only to be on the wrong side of the biggest sporting comeback ever.
It's a disaster for Team New Zealand.
But not everyone's forgotten. Grant Dalton might still be needing counselling.
Well, frankly, I couldn't care less about Spittle, to tell you the truth.
I mean, you know, he was quite keen to get me ousted, and probably he had a good reason now.
From the outset, when Michael Fay and Chris Dixon captivated the nation in the plastic fantastic KZ7, there have been rivalries and grudges, heroes and villains. Who could forget Dennis Connor, who beat us with Stars and Stripes? The Cup lost some of its lustre in 88 and 92 as the best moves seemed reserved for the courtroom. And then San Diego, 1995. Team New Zealand, led by Peter Blake and his lucky Red Sox, and skippered by Russell Coutts, did the unimaginable and won the thing. The nation went nuts. Even by today's standards, this was never-before-seen congestion, and not just in Auckland, but everywhere the Cup went. Our first defence in 2000 made it look easy. But 3 years later, we broke, literally.
And the mast has snapped.
We came so close again in 2007, but failed at the final hurdle. Before the now, hopefully soon-to-be-forgotten, capitulation in San Francisco. But today, much like the World Cup winning All Blacks of 2011, there's relief and redemption.
You know, I think this team's learned a lot since San Francisco, and, you know, to be able to bring that trophy home now, you know, the path we've had to get here hasn't been an easy one, and no, we're just blown away by the support we've got.
Hey, no problem, Pete. The feeling's mutual.
In the news ahead, at 11 years old, he knew what he wanted.
Probably Team New Zealand or around the world and stuff like that.
How Peter Burling went from schoolboy sailor to become the youngest helmsman to win the America's Cup.
And police
At just 26 years old, Peter Burling's entered the pantheon of great New Zealand sailors in helping Team New Zealand reclaim the America's Cup. He follows in the footsteps of Sir Russell Coutts and Sir Peter Blake, and his Olympic coach believes he could go on to become our greatest ever. Kirsty Stanway looks back at Burling's colourful path to the old mug.
Peter Burling, the youngest helmsman to lift the old mug in its 166-year history. Burling, the shining light for Team New Zealand 4 years after the nightmare of San Francisco.
We met at my house quietly, and you know, Pete said, I want to be skipper or helmsman, and I said, well, we got a bit to go under the bridge yet, mate, but we'll see where we get to.
That was 2013, but Burling's journey to the America's Cup began well before then.
Probably Team New Zealand or around the world and stuff like that. Probably America's Cup or something.
They didn't know who he was then, but the Tauranga Yacht Club saw Burling's potential, inviting him to sail against Dean Barker during a regional regatta as a 10-year-old.
I thought that was probably going to be as good as it gets, I'm clearly been proved wrong and very happy about that.
One of Burling's mentors knew it was only a matter of time.
You can't find a fault in him. His temperament, his fanatical desire to win, killer instinct, and a natural sailor.
In just 10 months, Burling's achieved more than most sailors could in a lifetime.
Just a gold medal in an America's Cup, and what's next?
His Olympic coach Hamish Wilcox says the young helmsman surpassed every milestone recorded by a Kiwi sailor.
And Pete just, you know, the youngest ever Optimist national champion, the youngest ever Starling national champion, youngest guy to ever go to the Olympics.
Do you think that Pete will be the best sailor that this country has ever produced?
I think without a doubt, you know, he's going that way. You know, he's got some pretty big ambitions, I know, and I'm certain he's going to do a lot more. We're going to see a lot more of Pete. He's going to do a lot more than what he's already achieved.
Wilcox certain the Volvo Ocean Race will be on that list, and an America's Cup defence in New Zealand. Kirsty Stanway, Newshub.
Well, in guiding Team New Zealand to victory, Peter Burling finally got to exact revenge on the Aussie that Kiwis love to hate. But today, Jimmy Spittle only had love for the Kiwis, saying the better team won. The skipper, nicknamed Pitbull, showed his softer side in defeat, but as Melissa Davies reports, it's too early to say whether he and his team will feature in the next regatta.
In a campaign where every minute detail has been mapped out for 4 years, this was a moment Jimmy Spittle had not prepared for.
I really want to go and thank, you know, the entire team, and we'll take it from there. But you know, the boys have got to hold their heads up high. They've fought hard the whole way. Very proud of them, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Thanks very much, though, boys. Appreciate it.
Breaking down, the Oracle skipper talked of the Kiwis being shut out, praising their effort to toil away in New Zealand outside the glare of the other teams.
Firstly, you know, what I'd really like to do is congratulate Emirates Team New Zealand. Man, what a campaign those guys ran. It's just how innovative they've been, the fact that they really were down there on their own.
It was a muted reception as the Oracle crew returned to base. The pats on the back, not the kind Spittle wanted. He says the team haven't yet discussed Oracle Team USA's future now that the format is in Team New Zealand's hands, but it will take a while for him to unwind personally.
I love this game. I mean, I think it's, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's a little bit embarrassing, but I think more about the America's Cup than my own family. Sorry, honey.
Spittle counts the cyclaws among the smart decisions Team New Zealand made in this campaign, an innovation which gave Olympic track cycling medalist Simon van Veldhoven a chance to live a sailing dream.
As a Kiwi, the America's Cup was always much bigger than anything else in sport and our, or in my life, so to be part of it's awesome, and then to actually bring it home is another level.
For Blair Tuke, bringing home the America's Cup doesn't compare to the Olympic gold and silver he's already picked up in the 49er class with Peter Burling.
This is different, like it's the America's Cup means so much to New Zealand, and it, you know, there's so many people that have just put so much into it. You know, you see our boat builders now, our design guys, and you know the sort of hours they've worked, and that's just this campaign. And there's the campaigns before when they haven't achieved, and you know the same things happen.
The design team were front and centre in the celebrations tonight. Dan Bernasconi already in hot demand from the other teams, but right now there's no other team base any crew member would want to be. In Bermuda, Melissa Davies, Newshub.
And the Kiwi design team will have a big say on what the boats will look like in the future, with Team New Zealand now in charge of setting the rules for the next regatta. CEO Grant Dalton says all will be revealed in the coming weeks, but he's hinted that while innovation's been the hallmark of the 35th America's Cup, the next one could combine technology with tradition.
And the two boats straight up on the foils.
There's no question the boats in Bermuda have been a sight to behold.
Russell Cooch needs a bit of credit for that. I think he's had quite a lot of influence in that whole foiling generation. His vision's not my vision, but he's done what he thought was right and he did it well.
Grant Dalton has an America's Cup vision of his own, and it may not include Olympic cyclists next time around.
It's still a race of yachtsmen, and I think just, you know, pumping oil around a boat isn't necessarily yachting. Certainly the boats are spectacular, they're fast. Whether they, in a decent nor'easterly off Rangi with the tide going out, would go too well, I'm not so sure. They might go straight down the mine.
Oh, there's a collision! Ben Ainsley had trouble keeping control of his in Bermuda, but says it'd be a mistake to move away from foiling cats.
It's really taken the sport to a new level, and a whole new viewership and fan base is coming in, and I would love to see that continue.
Alinghi boss Ernesto Bertarelli likes them too and wants to be part of a regatta with more teams, but the Swiss isn't keen on a mooted nationality rule.
I think the nationality rule is great for a few nations who have played the game for a while, but it makes it difficult for new teams to join the game.
We have some ideas, we have some plans. We want to do the right thing.
The future of the America's Cup now in Kiwi hands.
Well, it might be a while before New Zealand gets irate about Jimmy Spittle's jibes again, but Lions coach Warren Gatland